So I just got done watching the new Imagine Dragons collab with Riot Games, and damn if I wasn't warm in the pants, half chubbed, feeling satisfied, wishing that their game balance team could start going to lunch with the teams who produce these masterpieces and hope that literally anything will rub off onto them. But at the same time I couldn't help but notice the cameo of a young seemingly depressed Jinx, because her and her big sis are stuck getting their hair cut at the local Supercuts with no other options, as it highlights her story of Jay chillin' with Echo and her looking up to the big-handed mall cop as she sobs a lot until she discovers what I am assuming is lethality items. You see, when you build this skinny minigun gal in a way that's more lethal, you get 1k damage on your W on less than a 2 seconds cooldown, which basically means in team fights you will be rapid firing these peggies out, making your enemies look like bots. And don't even get me started on her ult damage with this build. Okay, on anyone other than a Mundo it's actually insane. So today I decided to take this build into real games to see if the power of full lethality Jinx has potential on the Rift, and with that I ask that if you enjoy these videos and want to see more, please consider subscribing as it's free before we get into the games. Okay, so game 1 I chose to go lethal Lisa, she who needs a tan in the bot lane, because I just have a thing for pain and being 3 levels behind everyone else. I guess ask my therapist, I can't explain that shit. But after 14 minutes of us getting our mud monkey gaping a-holes poked out of lane, we had an itsy bitsy spider coming down the river spout, so I launch a pencil dick at the lady from the lantern and then deploy a row of gooch grabbers so she sits still and forcefully deep throats a Thomas the Tank Engine, which puts her in auto my ass for the kill range, and needless to say I'm excited about it. But full transparency, I must disclose that a double ADC bot lane is like the proverbial paper to a world where everyone locked in scissors, and this early into the game that Ho and her hula hoop are quite the pair of scissors. So if you want early success with this, just make sure you ban these champs in draft. Then I am just heading back to the towerless wasteland littered in my dead corpse pubes when I see Legolas's wife defy logic by shooting an arrow the size of an SUV out of her tiny bow, and when I see there was contact I get Thomas the Tank Engine out for round 2, and when that shitter travels a decent distance you already know it's gonna be a kill on collision. Hashtag Cokie Sniffles on this white lassie tonight, boys. And I am hoping that you are starting to get the picture of why, while we puckered our double ADC assholes and just finger popped each other's under tower all early game, so that post 6 we can do the oversize ammunition routine that Static Stanley flashed this time. So just let that foreshadow what is to come, as I then took a swim up north because the famous tale of Senna and the Sex Ant was doing a live reading, so Ash and I attended to ensure that it would be a W by using our W's, and sayonara to the Sex Ant was all she wrote. But I promised some synchronized sniping, so when that cosplaying condom ring wielder went into a choke we hit her with the Frosty Boy into Butt Blaster 9000 combo, to which I said,
"It begins."
Then I'm telling this hooded hottie that I'm gonna spoil her in the shops for the arrow action she's giving me, but we get rudely interrupted extending our ARAM, which eventually spawns Stealthy Shelly, and despite me thinking easy pickings, the spider gets pest controlled by Eve's win fight button, and then I opt to flash right click rather than rely on my accuracy because I'm not a gambling man when the betting odds are that low.
Pussy.
That said, our jungler was doing her best actual spider impersonation and getting her shit smashed into a wall every time someone sees her, as I try to hot pocket the hidden hula hooper who tries to hurry away, and I'm like, ha ho, get homicided honey. Then Ash's ult was like, huh? I thought the meeting time was in PST. And a few minutes later I'm just proving firsthand why my dad occasionally says he should have shot me into a rubber by innocently taking my jungler's camps, oblivious to the fact that my support's getting poisoned and spit on by a small piss rat, as I eventually notice and slap that little shitter. Then I'm just setting up to do what any other gold player would do, and that's mindlessly sit mid because macro gameplay knowledge doesn't exist in my brain, as that little sexualized scorpion with her AIDS injector pigtails comes in only to be thin beamed, ween webbed and blown the fuck up. Yippee, I'm a maniac, ain't nothing gonna get me down. Our jungler continues her lifelong mission of making sure every living creature on the planet is well fed, but not to fear, Rav rockets are here. Sad, yeah, we all know, but the joke is on this floating ball of toaster in the bathtub static shit, because I can run straight up to him, load a potato in the cannon, and then instead of just landing a second I opt to flash into melee range attack with the wrong weapon, hesitate for a second at my own stupidity, take my kill, and then get all excited anyways, because that's what a true champ would do. Now at this point I have so many kills, when I join fights you can hear faint whispers saying the feds are coming, so let me show you how I contribute my fedness in little quarrels. First you do all the damage to their Senna as noted by you being credited in the kill, and then when Stanley that electric asshole unfreezes you, time a perfect potato to claim your credit on his kill list as well. And if anyone is asking why both teams have a Senna, the answer is I don't know, was a bug in the ranked matchmaking in this 1100 LP challenger game, so take it up with Riot I guess, because instead of focusing on the implication that I had to play blind norms to get enemies shady enough to make this work, I was more interested in waiting for my team's Obama's wife to get ADC'd before setting up the big boy bang bang combo on Kiana. And the best part of having a 20 seconds ult cooldown is that when you inevitably back at awful times right before team fights, you can just proxy a Thomas the Tank Engine in to contribute via bomb, so that by the time you do arrive the only remaining thing to do is land that one additional potato popper on the puss pouch. Crushed it. The theme of their team's assassin basically being a kid in a candy shop with 3 one-shottable ADCs to choose from continued, but unfortunately for her she was a greedy dumbass, so each time resulted in me taking an Usain Bolt victory lap right after, cause I vowed that no assassin will ever again tap my flat non-existent tits, no matter how charming their approach game is. Even if I have to flash them out and they flash me back, it's not happening. Add one more big ash arrow into rocket power, the power plant combo, and a sensational pursuit of me landing 10% of my skill shots, and game 1 was in the books, baby. Time to turn the difficulty of this nonsense up a level. Game 2 starts, and since I have a strange unavoidable habit of making my teammates' lives miserable, I am playing mid against a real mid laner and one designed with 200 years of collective experience at that, so naturally I'm pushed in dry humping my own tower, enabling him to head south and slaughter my friends. To which my excuses come out, because that's the only part of my game that's consistent, and sure enough unemployed Aladdin gets back to lane with nothing but a noon quiver and logically removes 90% of my health with one Tarzan tug, but thankfully there Yi was born with that rare brain condition where it doesn't exist, so the tower gets some cash, and then this Bollywood butt plunger greedily comes in, only to show how the level of intelligence and dexterity in people playing these new broken bullshit champs is so low that even a free tower dive like this ends in a tragedy for him. Anyways, I then run up into river for a quick game plan board meeting with blind Betty, so he tells me to bait something, so I'm all like, don't mind me, just a moron, squishy as shit ADC in the most obviously poor position, to which he capitalizes by swinging in the wrong fucking direction. Then one of us lands a skill shot and I bring it home with a mega nuke right on the noggin to defend my title as the masturbator. Then we're both settling down after the murder, you know, doing our static stretching dramatic acrobatic recall animations, when we notice a group of Gryffindor babies approaching, so we act quick. He takes literally all the farm like a dickhead, but I get cannon, and then when he decided to talk about our victories together, I don't know what else to say other than, we are adorable. A few minutes later the bad guys kidnapped a scuttle crab, took him to Vegas, and the gambling addiction in the poor amphibian that was birthed didn't age well on him, so now he is swollen and raging out as our team's own crab comes in. I whiff a potato cannon and contribute to the fight by almost dying to Lord Titus over here, but thankfully I'm like a killer Kobe Bryant as I back up behind the 3-point line and shoot my shot, only to get a swoosh on the shitter for the spree, killing. Then, for a reason that I'm not allowed to disclose, I have one ward in my bag and one just right fucking here, and neither of them help me detect that I am somewhere I shouldn't be, but I choose fight over flight. And I'm not gonna lie, the presence of the twirling twat complicated the situation, but I totally rode the adrenaline of my kill enema to safety. Back to mid, and I notice the coked up sword lord is all for going hashy slashy on my blind buddy's ashe, so I patiently wait for the super speed anus inspection to end, then I W beam the bitch before firing off a biggie boy tank engine that gets robbed its glory by Mr. Waternews, totally unnecessary. But as I continue looking for my accuracy, and Akshan comes in saying, guys, I'm having a seizure, can someone help me? And upon further inspection his grapple was definitely defective as well, so we deem him incurable and opt to euthanize instead. A big fight breaks out, bot and poor Lee is too blind to realize he is vastly outnumbered, which requires a rocket out of the ratchet ass Rav inventory to be deployed, and when it hits I adequately use my adrenaline to headbang a few times rather than boost into the ongoing battle. And then only content creators who don't have a staff of PvE custom lobby unpaid workers at their disposal to farm content will understand. I inform my peers that I need to sacrifice myself in an attempt at prolonging this game, but my plan was delayed when an opportunity to prove why ADCs are such a filthy freaking joke when played in the bot lane compared to mid with the XP diffs presents itself, so I collect that proof for the file and then I proceed to carry out the content creator's code. Then, as if everyone is already not super triggered, I kill the big dog that Lee wanted to kill. He tells me to fuck off, thinking I just forgot about our past. But the next time this happens I so kindly back off and let him psych, bitch, you really thought. Anyways, stealthy unemployed Aladdin tries to take one more stab at my anorexic ass, but it just lands him in a pretty prison and blown the absolutely shit off the rift, to which my plan of extending the game still managed to fail because weak mental is like a trend that everyone wants to wear nowadays, and admittedly this was a blind norm, so I'd probably won a GTFO if I wasn't popping off too. So no hate, really just me Rav requesting that you sub to my channel if you are watching this on YouTube and follow my Facebook gaming profile in the description if not. Rav out.
Fuck with Rabby boy, I'm in your crib with the blappy boy, talk to me slick and I'm popping your pappy. If happy talk back then I'm taking your Grammy and boy oh boy I'll make her happy.